Ladies and gentlemen, the Dean of Comedy, Mr. Greg Dean.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to do a bit of a Q&A. So, Gayla?
We have another question. You already talked about some of the comedians that you like. You mentioned Jim Gaffigan, Dennis Miller, Andy Kaufman, Sam Kinison. What other comedians do you think are worth looking at, and you'd recommend us to watch to kind of get down the idea of the succinct jokes and the succinct storytelling techniques that that kind of reflect your technique?
Who I would recommend? I really like Jimmy Carr. First of all, I know he read my book at least, and so on and so forth, because he's actually on television talked about, oh, jokes are two different stories, and so on and so forth. So, and he's very succinct. He does everything. And I also like him because he doesn't have segues. Yeah, there's no reason for all that extra, what I call rationalizations. He'll just start talking about something out of nowhere just because he's thinking about it. And you have to understand, a lot of people, I have to have segues, I got to rationalize, write all these reasons that I'm going to talk about it and where I got the idea. Oh my God, you want to slow down a show? Put in all those rationalizations. No, get right to the joke. Patton Oswalt, wonderful storyteller. There's a guy named Larson. He's particular got, watch his show. It's a great story called Sounds Like Bruce. Watch that. That is such a funny story, and how he builds that story. Not seen few that were better at that. Let's see, who else do I like? I like Nikki Glaser. I like Whitney Cummings. Ellen DeGeneres when she was performing a lot. Of course, Whoopi, who was one of my students as well. Sherry Shepard, who was one of my students as well. Anthony's always good to watch him, study his jokes, look at them. He is so good.
But Mike Birbiglia.
Oh yeah, of course. I love his, and he does great crowd work too. Yeah. He's got great material, and he works.
Bargatze also.
Who?
Nate Bargatze.
Bargatze.
Yeah.
I believe, yes. No, he's great as well because he's family friendly. Yeah. Him and Jim Gaffigan, watch their joke structure. Sit down and go, look at this. Look how he constructs the jokes. They're just so little simple things because he reframes them. I'm holding my child, and my child, he punches me, Or one of my favorite was I ran. He was on the beach and ran into a crab, and said the crab started behaving, and he goes back and forth, behaving like somebody they owed money to. And I just laughed myself silly because he got that observation so perfect, and then acted it out and did that feeling that you own. So watch the way they construct jokes with the metaphors and act outs and all the other things that we tell you. Louis C.K., I always loved him. I'm sorry about his problems that he had and stuff. Chris Rock, of course, watch his shows because he constructs. There's nobody better at joke construction than him. And there's a really good, it's called, I think it's called Talking Funny. Talking Funny, it's on HBO. You can find it online. It's with Ricky Gervais, who I also now really like, even though I always considered him more of an actor that did comedy. But he's gotten closer and closer to an actual comedian as time goes on. Ricky Gervais, Jerry Seinfeld, another one great to watch. Chris Rock, and Louis C.K. And the four of them talk about their comedy careers and how they go about doing certain things, and it's a fascinating watch. Go and watch that, because first of all, I define premise. They talked about premises, and I define a premise as a subject, a negative opinion about a subject. Okay, which is, what are you going to talk about? What's your position? That's what a premise is. And people have all kinds of other definitions. That's my definition. And they start talking about that. They'll sit around and go, oh, I was doing this, and that was my, that was my my premise. Oh, you look at it and go, oh, he was talking about a subject and his negative opinion about it, and then the jokes flowed from that premise, just like the model that I teach in my level 1 class about the 4 principles of performing comedy. That's one of them, which is make sure that you've got a good, clear premise and the jokes flow from that premise.
Greg said to watch some of these comics, watch Talking Funny. There's a lot of information he gave. If you ever go to, Google Greg Dean Comedy, there's a lot of free advice, free information, free techniques, free things that he shows. There's
watch some of my videos on Greg Dean Comedy YouTube. I've got over 200.
Can you give the information about your crowd work class? When is it? How much is it?
It's $199 every 4 weeks. It's ongoing, and it's on the Thursday nights, Thursday days, actually, from noon to 2 on Thursdays, noon Pacific time.
And you don't have to have taken classes with Greg.
And you don't have to have any experience. We take you we give you some very, very basic fundamentals, and then the longer you're with me, the more I keep introducing more and more advanced techniques to work on, and again, then afterwards we talk about what they did, where they worked on things, where they kind of missed it, how they could have used a technique, etc. Again, it's always solution feedback. Because the way I break it down is that the answers you get from people, if you're listening, will give you the cue for the technique you're going to use. If somebody says, oh, my boss hates me, he's always yelling at me. Oh, well, then that gives you a cue that you can now speak for that boss. And we do that in the class. I'll go, now speak for the boss. And that person becomes the, yeah, you're really bad at what you did, blah, blah. Or even do a whole scene back and forth between him and his boss. The comedian's doing it for him. You're talking about Mike Birbiglia. I saw one of his pieces where he asked somebody if he was ever arrested, and he went and talked to the guy, and he ends up acting out the guy being arrested by a woman cop. It was so funny, going, I'm being arrested, and it was a woman cop, with a badge and everything, and I said to her, cook me dinner, Well, it's hilarious. I mean, so watch him. He actually does. He talks for the participant as well as other people in the scene that is brought up. I mean, techniques like that people don't think about. There's a lot of them in crowd work, and once you get loosened up, start, and if you're bad at something, that's the first thing I go after. Not the first thing. At first, I just get you comfortable, and then I start going, oh, you're not good at speaking for other people, so now speak for that person. They're like, they stumble over it. Okay, cool. We go, oh yeah, I stumbled over it. We'll do that again next week, and the next week, and the next week. And 2 or 3 weeks later, the person's just buzzing. Oh, speak for that person. They do a whole bit. Oh, again. If it's broken down to skills, you practice a skill, you just get better at it, and you're applying it to your own sense of humor, not mine. That's nice. What we do.
Woo! And we have hyperlinks in chat that you guys can jump in and look at it if you want and everything. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again next week.
All right, so I'm gonna take off.
Let's hear it for Greg.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Everybody, I always enjoy doing this, and keep coming back and being around. Thank you guys
so much.